good afternoon, everyone. I know the post-lunch session is always the difficult one for people to settle in, but I think we're going to have an interesting session today. So let me give you some context. I've been in the bullion industry in India for 30 years this year. And I can honestly say that 2024 is going to be one of the most exciting years. And I'm delighted to say that the people who are going to bring about the changes this year are all seated in this panel. So it's really exciting to have all of them together and to listen to their views. And the reason I say it's going to be so exciting is because there have been some regulatory changes in the last three months or so, and there's been several changes taking place, which are leading up to a situation now where you will see a very fast-paced movement in terms of market events. And I look forward to listening to the panel explaining why these events will take place and how they will unfold. So let me start with Ashokji, so Ashok Gautam, and because he's sitting right in the apex of the activity in terms of IIBX. Ashokji, if you could probably share with the audience what the recent activity has been on IBX, what developments have taken place.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for letting me open the innings. Uh, very good afternoon in the sense like it actually is a very good afternoon since for the last 2 years, the kind of hard work which has been put in place by uh, IFSCA, uh, IGPC, IMA, and World Goal Council, and so many other stakeholders. And I was just telling someone that when you actually want to plant a bamboo garden, so the the root takes a long time to, and when you see the green shoots of that bamboo uh, plant or the so and then it just starts flourishing. But that 2 year hard work actually has gone in, and some of the last 2 3 months announcements which have come, I'll quickly tell. Let's start with what DGFT has enabled. DGFT has enabled that all the TRQ holders, that is the tariff rate quota holders under India UAE SEPA, can import gold directly through IBX. So that was one of the triggers which we have been waiting for a long time, and that led to another very important announcement, which came from the Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance, whereby they said that any TRQ holder, when they are also the importer, that means the entity when they are the same, the TRQ holder is also the importer, then IGCR rules and the end use restrictions will not apply. Now, if you see in this whole notification, the name IIBX is not there. But this notification essentially is for IIBX. Because IIBX is the only platform where the TRQ holders become the direct importers. And this actually opened the floodgate. And we have been servicing the TRQ holders, those who are qualified jewelers, and some of the TRQ holders were coming through the qualified jewelers. But I'm happy to share that now every day we are getting almost 10 applications, and which our team is processing, and IFSC is also processing and approving those valid TRQ holders. Simultaneously, there were a few things which were happening on the uh, uh, our own SEZ, Gift City SEZ. There for a long time, which we have been wanting to serve the entities in SEZ. So their SOP has been released by the senior DC, where the movement of bullion from Gift City SEZ to any SEZ in the country has now been very clearly defined. Of course, this would require ICE gate to be in those SEZ, and that is a work in progress. Another important thing is that we are on the verge of having our vault ready in Chennai J Mata Di SEZ. I believe the vault is already ready. Some regulatory inspections are going on. And after that, once the ICE gate is through, we'll be in a position to launch Chennai contracts. We'll be able to service South India, where the promise has been that, of course, every 30 minutes we are delivering BDR in your demat account. the physical gold or physical silver actually from the rupee dollar conversion to the custom clearance is a minimum, I mean, the lowest time can be 4 hours. And that can also be now given to the Chennai and the whole south region we can cater from there. And that is just one step. It will lead to other vaults in other SEZs as we go on. And in all these pieces, IFSCA has been very proactive in engaging with everyone and also issuing the relevant circulars. But a very important RBI circular which came just 2 3 days back is that Reserve Bank of India has now permitted Indian IBUs. Now, this is a very important piece because this is something which, for the last 4 years, IFSCA has been trying to get it going, and now it has come. That Indian IBUs who were permitted to become professional clearing members can automatically become subject to their notifying to RBI trading cum clearing member. That is a, I mean, it's a big leap because that was one thing which was not coming forward. And another important piece is that all nominated banks, that is, the banks who are permitted in the domestic area to act as a nominated bank and import gold and silver, they become eligible to come as a special category client on the IIBX through one of the IBU trading members. And special category client means they can come for the buy side. That means for their clients. So now through IBX, we can service any jeweler in India because the banks are now on our ecosystem. So I thought I'll just give
That's
the
good.
color of
Just
all
in
these
terms
things.
of numbers, if you can just give an idea to the audience, for 6 weeks in 2024, what are the trading volumes compared to, let's say, same period last year or the full period last year? Just approximately.
Yeah, I mean, so okay, the gold we have already crossed 6.47 ton as of yesterday, and as of yesterday, silver has already gone above 347 tons or so. Hopefully, we'll touch the 400-ton marks. Uh, uh, but the point I'm trying to say, the kind of momentum which I have seen, the momentum since the last week of January and till now, suddenly the gold volumes are picking up, and ma'am in her address has had mentioned that we had a highest gold trading day of 450 plus kilogram. And mind you, I mean, one of our goals has been, can we consistently have half a ton of gold getting physically traded and delivered on our exchange? And with these things and these enablers coming, I think we are on the track. Next year, 160 tons is a TRQ quota, and we hope that a sizable portion of that will come. And with the banks coming in, the gold for the exporters, and probably we are also looking at gold metal loan and other such things, the volumes certainly will grow
Yeah,
on our
so
exchange.
that's why I think it's been an exciting beginning and we'll continue the momentum. Vasbhai, just in terms of an actual very active market player, I just wanted your perspective of how your life has changed in terms of your business with the addition of IBX into the mix.
देखिए जस्ट मैं आपको पहले तो मैं आपका धन्यवाद करता हूँ कि मैंने आपसे बहुत बिजनेस सीखा है। आई नो हिम सिंस 1997, भले ही इरिलेवेंट है पर आपने ग्रास रूट से हमको सिखाया है, तो यू आर माय बेस्ट टीचर। एंड फर्स्ट थिंग कि IIBX बेसिकली मैं गुजरात रीजन से था, तो मेरे को थोड़ा क्यूरियोसिटी था कि कुछ नया हो रहा है, तो हम वाई शुड बी ट्राई इट। तो हम लोगों ने शुरुआत किया, फर्स्ट BDR बनाया। इतना जो मैनेजमेंट चेंज जो दिख रहा है लास्ट 3-4 महीने में, कि आज सुबह मटेरियल अराइव होता है अहमदाबाद एयर कार्गो पे, तो एयर कार्गो पे क्लियर होने के बाद 10 बजे सुबह गिफ्ट सिटी में इनबाउंड होता है और 12 बजे 12:30 बजे ट्रेड होता है। 3 बजे वो BDR का बिल ऑफ एंट्री होता है और 5 बजे मटेरियल आउट हो जाता है। यानी जो ड्यूरेशंस है वो इतना सेफ है और इतना सुलझा हुआ है, जिसमें मैं थैंक्स कहना चाहूँगा IIDI जो अभी कश्यप साहब बैठे हुए हैं, संपत सर बैठे हुए हैं, तो वो इतना सुपर्ब मैनेजमेंट है और जितने भी डॉक्यूमेंट्स आते हैं वो कस्टम वेरीफाई करता है, उसके साथ साथ IIDI भी वेरीफाई करता है और उसके बाद ही BDR जनरेशन का प्रोसेस शुरू होता है। तो वेरिफिकेशंस पॉइंट्स ऑफ व्यू से भी वो लोग बहुत सुलझे हुए हैं. इवन जितने भी डॉक्यूमेंट्स आते हैं, अगर कोई सीईओ है यूएई कंट्री से आया है, तो वो लोग डायरेक्टली वेरीफाइड करते हैं वहाँ की मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इकोनॉमी के साथ. तो ये जो प्रोसेस है, मैंने मेरी लाइफ में कभी भी नहीं देखा है, और ये एकदम ईजीएस्ट प्रोसेस है. यहाँ से मटेरियल लाना और यहाँ से जल्दी से एग्जिट करना, ये बिजनेस के लिए बहुत बड़ा मायने रखता है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे डेली इंटरेस्ट काउंट होता है, बहुत बड़ा पैसा यहाँ पे इन्वॉल्व रहता है. तो मेरे हिसाब से ये सबसे बेस्ट प्लेटफॉर्म है अगर एज अ बिजनेसमैन देखा जाए तो.
So just to validate what Vasudha is saying, is basically the process of clearance and settlement of trades has become a same day process now, and that's made the trading on the exchange much more viable. I'll just ask Kamlesh now, from the point of view of a regulator, what is the regulatory intention now in terms of IIBX or bullion activity in the GIFT City? What is the intention from ISCA of how they see the market unfolding over there?
Yes, thanks for that question, because that always is something which we should not lose sight of. So the regulatory intention is to actually develop a fairly broad-based, robust Boolean ecosystem. Of course, right now that is all centered around the India International Bullion Exchange, but we are not stopping there, because as you would have also noticed that there was another RBI circular which enabled the resident entities having a price exposure on gold to hedge through OTC markets also in GIFT IFSC. Now, that may also mean some competition to IIBX or the exchange traded derivatives, which will be launched soon. But that we see it in the sense that how this ecosystem or its design or the way it is evolving is being seen by the global audience or the global market. If it is actually being seen as a credible initiative or project, because I believed personally also that it was not making any sense till the institutional participation was coming forth. Of course, it was already the efficiencies, as Vasubhai told, that were being felt, and it was, of course, it's in itself not a very, what I should say, insignificant achievement or objective if you democratize the gold procurement by a wider set of participants, and then pricing efficiencies through disintermediation also play that part. But then when we are talking of building an international exchange and the whole ecosystem around it, we needed the participation of an institution. That was our task, and we are very glad that we could nuance or modify our proposals. The way they first went to the Reserve Bank, perhaps that didn't give too much of comfort and confidence to them, because they thought that maybe we are expecting too much suddenly, that Indian banks be allowed to do the whole host of full bullion banking business, taking positions, and so maybe, but then we were able to. So this is the very important first step. So the regulatory intent is to develop it as a whole ecosystem, and with no one is better qualified actually to comment on that. So as a moderator also, I would want Mr. Sunil Kashyap to actually comment. So if there is any reference point, whether we look at Shanghai Gold Exchange and SGEI, where do we look at? So this is another challenge for the regulators, because it's still difficult to sell the idea, because the picture about everything else is easy. I was part of banking regulation only till 2 years back, or till a year back. So it was very easy, because the foreign branches know what is the foreign branch business for banking. The stock market subsidiaries know what is international trading in stock markets. But this is something which we are trying to create as a real greenfield project. So we find it difficult. There is no domestic parallel first. So you are sorting out the domestic issues. It has been a learning experience. So the regulatory intent is to actually ensure that we are clearing all the obstacles possible to be able to say assure the global market that they take notice that, okay, oh, India finally can get its act together, at least for this offshore part. So I'm not limiting it to the product part. I'm not limiting even to the exchange. It's a whole host of things, whatever else the whole world or all the international market participants look to do in the bullion business or precious metals space, we would want to become an alternative for that.
Yeah, I think that's very keen. So basically, what you want is a platform where international players and Indian players can actually meet together and trade. and you know, people would compare this to the SGI, but SGI is an international exchange. But the key difference is SGI is still settled in renminbi, in CNH, and so in that sense, it's not truly international because it's a hurdle in terms of CNH trading. But in the IABX, the contracts are denominated in US dollars, so therefore it's much easier for international players to play. Right. So I think it was mentioned earlier, one of the exciting changes is that the banks in India have been finally permitted, almost after 2 years of trying, they've been permitted to participate in the exchange. So two of the most eminent bullion bankers in India are here on the platform. So I'd love to hear what their view is in terms of what the actual impact is going to be. I mean, the circular is out. How do you interpret that as an opportunity? Is it an opportunity for you? And how do you see it dovetailing into your plans for the next 3 to 6 months?
Thanks, Sunil, and good afternoon, everyone. So, as Sunil mentioned, 2024 looks to be a very, very exciting year as far as bullion is considered, and specifically for banks, because all the host of circulars and notifications which have come are all centered around a little bit of regulatory freedom being given to banks. And if we look at the past, I think this change or this relaxation and facilitation which has come after a gap of almost, if not more, but at least after 15 years. In the last 15 years, there have been no regulatory changes which have been brought around. Now, how we look at it? We look at it as an opportunity. Right now, as banks, we were centered and focused only around consignment, and this gives us another avenue for import of gold. The second thing, how we look at it is, there is not only one circular, but there are a couple which also gives banks like us who have IBU units opportunity to be a part of the ecosystem which is going to get developed, and where the IFSCA is focusing on developing a global ecosystem for bullion. So that is another space where we would like to be actively involved in. And on the domestic side, I think this is a very this is the first step towards much larger role which a bank can play in future. So we'll look at it as a first step where a regulator has given us some amount of freedom, and as things evolve, processes evolve, transactions start, and with comfort, I am sure that more and more things will come, maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 year down the line.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so I think I second what Manish has mentioned. Just going into a little more detailing, I think, the low-hanging fruit for banks is, the TRQ business. I think Ashok Gautam, said that today we can now service the entire gems and jewelry segment in India, now that you have a critical piece, which is banks on the exchange. So like the TRQ flows, right? I mean, there is obviously, a rise in the activities on the exchange on the TRQ side. But with banks coming in, I think, we'll be able to see more TRQ flows coming onto the exchange. I mean, one part of it is that, yes, we need to kind of probably relook to include banks in that importer and, TRQ holder being the same, and IGCR doesn't apply. Maybe that probably needs to be looked at for banks now. So I think if that happens, you will see further surge of volumes on the exchange. I think one also very exciting part is the hedging that Manish referred to. I think, and I think Kamlesh sir put it very eloquently that, it's the gold ecosystem, right? And I think the OTC market developing will see a fallout. IIBX will be a beneficiary of that also. So they both will kind of, coexist and thrive together. So I think this is very exciting times for us banks. We will await further guidelines from RBI on the hedging part. And we are actively looking at, the current guidelines issued by RBI on us becoming members on the exchange. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Neville. Thank you. And as Manish and Neville know, I mean, they are the key link for the bullion market with the international market. I mean, the international market really uh, deals with the local market through these two banks and one more bank. Three banks, I think, predominantly uh, share most of that business. But I want to understand how foreign banks are looking at it. And unfortunately, we don't have foreign banks represented. But I know Harish has been talking to several of the key foreign banks who participate in the Indian business. And so maybe, Harish, you'd like to share with us what their perspective is.
Thank you, Sunil, and good afternoon, all. So before I wear the hat of a banker again, I want to take a step forward to my current position. And in IGPC, when we had an MOU with IFSCA, the way we were looking at this business, the development of the exchange system, we had a long-term vision in mind. In the short term, you will have some arbitrage opportunities, and the volume can come at times, and some other time it will be totally dried up. So we were looking at a solution, and which is a long-term and a compliant system, and also so keeping that in regard, we always have been believing that there are three P's which the exchange has to sort out. One is, and if they are not simultaneously happening, at least in the same sequence. First P is participants. That is something which needs to be addressed. That is the first thing, in my opinion, which needs to be sorted out on the day one when you start operations. Second thing is the pricing. And when I'm saying pricing, it is not what is the cost plus pricing and all of that. I'm not going into that. The pricing, I mean to say whether you have a price parity or not in the system. And if there are multiple points at which the gold is sold in the country, it is very difficult for an exchange to structure products around that. And the third P, in my opinion, which comes later after we have sorted out these two things, is the products. Because products will also depend on what the participants want and what the industry wants. Now, with the new developments happening after this 9th February circular, I must first of all congratulate the banking and the whole community, in fact, that I think this is a big step forward. Coming to the foreign bank thing, so when we were working on this, what we discovered was that, contrary to the general perception that consignment is the most preferred business for banks on the both sides, actually that was not the case. Indian banks also were looking at some freedom to structure their products. When it comes to the foreign banks, they find the consignment to be a very operation-heavy model, and this is, I think, maybe Sunil can add to that. I think this is very unique to India. So they prefer to get into an exchange system where they can just deliver at one place and they don't have to deal with too many people. But here, when we talk about in India, the biggest problem was that the liquidity they were not very sure about, and so that is what was bothering them. And in fact, for the compliances also, and for the risk management to take a call on that, it was getting a little difficult. So I think this circular has helped that. In terms of the readiness, I would still say that it's a process. It's just started, and as I recall some of my discussions with the banks, foreign banks, they have started the process. Right now, they are talking to their legal and the risk management to understand what the circular talks about. In my opinion, the circular does not make any change as far as the foreign bank's positioning is concerned. It is only the counterparty, or in fact, the counterparty means the end customer for them, that has, and which can assure them some commitment in terms of the volume and the turnaround of the metal which they keep there. So from that angle, they are looking at it much favorably. But having said that, they still have to run their processes, and I would be happy if somebody is able to run and complete those processes within the next 3 months' time.
Ashokji, I'll come back to you. So now that you're sitting right in the middle and you've got all these banks who want to participate, what are your expectations from domestic banks as well as foreign participants?
In fact, I mean, because if I treat them as my customers, so I would certainly want them to tell me what are their expectations from us. So obviously, some of the things have already fallen in place, but I can make, before I ask for expectation which I have from them, it's rather let me make my own sales pitch. So what all we are able to do. Uh, let's look at the consignment model. So the consignment model on the foreign bank side, when it is coming, so obviously there is a 30-day consignment period, which can at times, we have seen it can go up to 9 months, 10 months also, and gold is not sold. And the issue has always been it's a duty paid gold which comes in and sits as consignment. So here to the foreign banks, the pitch is like this because it's a duty-free area. The capital flow is without any restriction, and also the bullion, the gold, and the silver which they bring to our vaults. In case there are times when India sees disparity, so you can always take your gold and silver back without any intervention of the customs or any such issues. And this has been tested in two lots. 25 kg twice. It has been tested by the qualified suppliers who have brought in the gold. So that can be taken back. So this is just one point. Second point is that we just have got approval from our regulator that again, so as we became the first exchange globally to settle the bullion depository receipt every 30 minutes. So technically, if a trade was happening at 10:25, at 10:30, the BDR was in the demat account of the buyer within 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 1 minute of the trade. Here, we have just got the approval from our regulator. I want to thank them. We are starting the multiple fund settlement cycles during the day. So today the funds get settled only in the evening 6 to 9. We have taken approval to go for 2 more cycles. So all trades which are done till 12 noon, the funds will get settled at 12:15. Then after that, all trades done between 12 to 3 p.m. the fund settlement will happen at 3:15. So this is something which we have. So this is a sales pitch to the foreign banks that these are the flexibilities. And here you don't have to collate orders and then place. Here we have the large number of buyers who are coming at one place, and you will be able to do. So my expectation is, please, you know, uh, start interacting. We for the last 2 years we are having discussions. Your questions from your legal team, your compliance team, your risk team, we have been able to answer. But please, move fast. And Sunilji, it looks like within next 3 months we might have one foreign bank coming very quickly. Now on the domestic side,
Yes.
quickly, I'll be very quick. So Reserve Bank of India circular, in my view, has already enabled everything. I mean, that has been my discussion. Some of the banks have called me and I have explained to them. Because they have already said that if you are a nominated bank, you are automatically enabled to come as a special category client. Other than you have to intimate and you must have a board approved policy, which is standard RBI instruction. So my request is kindly do that quickly. We are waiting for you to come. The red carpet is already there. We have already put the rose petals. Now you just have to come so that we welcome you. Another thing is that your IBU counterparts. Many of them have. So I mean, there's only one right now, the PCM, which RBI has enabled that all PCMs are eligible to become TCM already. I mean, trading members automatically. And plus those who are already applying, they need to move fast. But I think the intent of the RBI circular is very clear. The direction is given that please come on the exchange, do explore. Though RBI circular has written one line that they can revoke it at any point of time, but that's regulator. They can always do it. But my request is, please come. The only expectation is please come fast. Give us your feedback. And the way I see it, and the way Kamleshji mentioned, we are going to create a very robust bullion ecosystem, not only for bullion, but the financial products which we will build around the bullion. And today, our chairperson IFSCA in the morning spoke about digital gold. Trust me, we will work with the regulator, we will work with the agencies. We'll also work towards digital gold, where your clients, which are NRIs and PIOs, your wealth banking clients, and if you come as a TCM, your IBUs, you can onboard them also. And this is something which we have been wanting to make Gift City Bullion Hub as the hub globally for the bullion piece. And I'm sure we are on the path.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll just add one comment. I think, the important thing is here you have a huge market for bullion. You've got an overseas platform, and you've got a regulator who's willing to listen and adapt. That doesn't exist in anywhere in Asia right now. Of course, you've got Singapore and Hong Kong, but a lot of the products that you need, a lot of those markets don't have local consumers or don't have a large market next to them. And so the opportunity for other people around the region to come set up new sandboxes for products in US dollars, target towards a wider audience is quite immense. I'll come to Vasubai. All this talk about banks are coming in, etc. Traders like yourself have really helped the exchange from the beginning, have seen the volumes go up. How do you feel about banks now coming in?
डेफिनेटली इज़ अ हेल्पिंग हैंड बिकॉज जितने भी बैंक आएंगे उतना हमको फ़ायदा ही है, क्योंकि और हम एज अ ट्रेडर हमारा एक लिमिटेड कैपिटल रहता है. जब भी बैंक के पास पूरा फंड फ्लो रहता है तो हम आज की डेट में क्या है कि हम गुजरात रीजन में ही वी आर डूइंग बिजनेस इन ओनली गुजरात रीजन. नाउ वी आर डूइंग और बिजनेस एक्सपांशन इन एवरीवेयर इन इंडिया वेयर देयर द IIBX will open their counters, and that is good for us, and we got some finance facility from banks also. We hope so RBI giving as early as possible to this permission, sir.
Excellent. So it's a collaborative approach. I think I agree. I mean, even in the past, when companies have been allowed to import directly, they've still gone to banks for import because from a financing point of view, it works much better. Yes. I'll just ask the bankers now, Neville and Manish. You mentioned all the positive things about looking forward to it. Are there, even now in the current environment, are there hurdles that you see that need to be addressed in terms of actioning your plans in the immediate future, in the next, let's say, 2 to 3 months? What are the hurdles that you think still need to be overcome, or any tweaks that need to be done?
So, as we read the circular which has come out, there are some of the clauses which are left to interpretation. They are not very, very clear, yes or no. However, normally the regulatory notifications and circulars are of this nature. So what I would take from it for the next 2-3 months is that to put the internal processes and approvals in place before we try to look at the commercials of the circular, what can be done, what cannot be done, and initially to focus on what is crystal clear and that can easily be done. So rather than getting into any kind of change request or anything, I think because all this are substantial structural changes within the how the business is looked in within the bank also. Just to give you a idea, the consignment business, the way it is being run by all the banks right now, that business is only looked as a franchisee business. It is not looked as a banking business or a banking product. However, once we start operating on the exchange, it's going to be big structural internal change for the bank, and which needs to go through its own approval processes. So I would personally look at getting those things sorted out for a product enablement point of view, so that as and when more things happen and more flexibilities come in, we are easily able to adopt to that.
Neville?
Yeah, I think in addition to what Manish said, I think it's very important that these elements are going to be there and we will seek clarity, but I think it's very important that fellow bankers and I think the gems and jewelry community work together towards kind of moving ahead, because I don't think anyone everyone has a role to play in the chain, right? And every bank is important, and I think every trade entity is important, because one without the other cannot exist. Like you rightly said, it has to be a collaborative approach. So I think that is a must. What I have concerns is that the domestic market keeps going into disparity, and I think that is something that we will have to eventually address. And I foresee banks again playing a very big role there. And I think the more the banks kind of get active in the domestic area also, I think GIFT will be a beneficiary of that. Because the minute this goes into discount, flows will stop coming through IIBX. So I think we need to even look at the domestic piece. And to my mind, banks have a very big role to play there. Excellent. Because we'll step in and, we'll help the market come out of deep discounts. Yeah.
I wanted Vasubhai's point of view in terms of, how do you see the banks playing a role in the domestic market, not only GIFT City, but overall, how do you see the banks increasing their profile in this market?
जस्ट अभी 31 जनवरी का एक सर्कुलर है कि बैंक्स को भी ओटीसी मार्केट में ट्रेडिंग के लिए कुछ अप्रोच किया गया है. तो जस्ट आई स्पीक इन
Yeah,
हिंदी
sure,
प्लीज बिकॉज ऑफ द लैंग्वेज. बट मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि ये बहुत बड़ा स्टेप है, क्योंकि हम जब भी बीडीआर को देख रहे हैं, बुलियन डिपॉजिट रिसिप्ट को, तो उससे आगे हम जाके ईजीआर पे चले जाते हैं, जो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक गोल्ड रिसिप्ट्स बनने वाला है. जो ईजीआर है वो पूरा डीटीए का प्रोडक्ट है, बीडीआर है वो गिफ्ट सिटी के लिए फ्री ट्रेड जोन का है. तो वहाँ से अगर हम बीडीआर को ईजीआर में कन्वर्ट करेंगे तो ये पूरा इंडिया का एक रोल प्ले चेंज होगा, क्योंकि आज की डेट में जो हम ईटीएफ ले रहे हैं या जो भी चीज़ ले रहे हैं उसमें इंक्लूडेड कस्टम ड्यूटी है, इंक्लूडेड जीएसटी है. यहाँ पे क्या है कि इन्वेस्टमेंट बेस इलेक्ट्रॉनिक प्रोसेस रह जाएगा. और यहाँ पे जो इंडिया में जो आज गोल्ड कंज्यूम होता है, तो जो गोल्ड कंज्यूम होता है तो उसमें 70% ज्वेलर्स के पास जाता है, 30% इन्वेस्टर्स लेते हैं जो फिजिकली बाय कर रहे हैं. अगर ये हम इसको पूरा इकोसिस्टम में ट्रांसफ़र करते हैं तो ये इंडिया के लिए भी बहुत बड़ी बात है. दूसरा एक चीज़ मैं ऐड करूँगा कि मैं 1996 से बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ, तो तभी गोल्ड का प्राइस था 2800 रुपीज़, और आज है 2024, जबकि हम 65,000 के आसपास है. तो आज और वहाँ पे आज हमने 2300% का इम्प्रूवमेंट देखा है. तो ऐसे देखा जाए तो तभी इंडियन रुपीस था 32 रुपीज़, आज है 83. तो हर साल हम लोग 80% गोल्ड में इम्प्रूवमेंट देख रहे हैं. अगर कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट करना चाहता है गोल्ड, तो गोल्ड इज़ अ बेस्ट प्रोडक्ट इन द वर्ल्ड. इतना रिटर्न देने वाला कोई भी कमोडिटी नहीं है जो कैश एलिमेंट्स है. और मैं इसको करेंसी ही गिन रहा हूँ, क्योंकि आप भले ही इसको कमोडिटी गिने या मेटल गिने, पर इट्स ट्रीट लाइक अ करेंसी. So we have to think about that part also, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to summarize what Basu was saying is that the gold prices in domestic terms have gone from 2,800 rupees in 1997 to 60,000 rupees. So that's a 2,300% increase over the last 25 years. So clearly for the domestic investor, it's one of the best investments available, especially given the currency depreciation. And I think what he's saying is that the exciting thing is with the banks participating um, in the gift city as well as participating in the domestic markets, you can see much more cooperation between these two markets, so that the IABX as well as the future spot exchange can start coordinating with each other. That will open up the opportunity for more products. I think I'll switch to questions, but I will just make one comment. Why this excitement is there. There's a small thing that stands out to me is that over the last 15, 20 years, as Mani said, there have been many consultations and meetings in Delhi and in RBI, etc. This is the unique situation where there was a meeting in Delhi, I think 3 weeks ago. The regulators listened very carefully to the bankers, and within 2 weeks, the circular was issued exactly meeting the requests of the bankers and the regulator and the exchange. So the action turnaround time was so immense. The signal it sends out to everyone, and that's why there's an excitement, is that this is the time to change. And the regulators are willing to change, and they're willing to step up and put their letter to the put everything pen to paper and issue the circulars. So that's a very important and exciting event, and that's why everyone's optimistic that even if changes need to be done, they will be done in the future. Okay, so I'll put it across to the floor. Please, any questions? Yeah, sorry, one question there. Then go ahead.
I'm Dr. Diwakar Goyal here. I'm chairman Aero Academy of Aviation Science and Management. You see, I go to different countries and I've seen one thing. And recently I was in Riyadh. I got a fellow passenger who purchased the gold worth about 5 lakh or 6 lakhs there. There's no checks and balances on this unauthorized import of gold, because at the airport there was no signboard. I know there must be certain regulations of customs and other fields, But it is quite frequent that there is no checks and balances there. Even at Delhi Airport or Bombay, there is no checks and balances there. It all depends on the movement of the passenger or suspected passenger or something like that, as the wisdom of the custom and intelligence. So what kind of, since it is a world gold policy matter, can't we have the big signboard and some things like that at the airport departures and even arrivals also? It is punishable, and what is the limit? Whether 1 lakh rupees for a lady or 50,000 for a man who can bring the gold and all. What is on that? Because
Maybe
there is a
I'll
great
address.
difference.
Maybe I'll address it just because I've just cleared customs 3 days ago. I saw at least 5 big signs. So the regulation is in place. Vigilance is a matter for the customs department. But I assure you that boards are there very very clearly, at several places.
No one in the market you go, you can purchase any amount of gold, and I beg you at Riyadh airport, nobody will ask you any question, even at the X-ray point.
And that's in compliance with the local regulations. Nobody checks where you're going, sir. Anyway, I'll come to the next question.
Hello, I'm audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So my few observations. First observation is that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. First observation is that the banks are the facilitator for the TRQ holders. So when IGCR is not applicable, if the entities are same, if the importing entity and the TRQ holder are the same, then IGCR is not applicable. In case of banks, they are, although they are not TRQ holders, they are facilitating for the TRQ holders. So they should be also put at par with the same facility, so that they can serve to the smaller TRQ holders who may not come directly to the IIBX. So first thing I think which Mr. Nival Patel has also mentioned. So same thing I would like to repeat here. It should be tackled properly, addressed properly. Number two is, right now most of the gold which is traded at IIBX is all TRQ gold, mostly. I mean, so it is all coming through CEPA, through UAE only. And if we want to have foreign suppliers, so I don't think there is even a single supplier who is supplying gold from UAE to India, even to all the trading members or anybody else. So foreign suppliers, first foreign suppliers should come to UAE. Then only they'll be able to supply TRQ gold to the Indian entities, to the TRQ holders. Correct. So it means that it has to be tackled properly at the UAE also, so that foreign suppliers first come to UAE to supply gold to India. They get the manufacturing done, and then they will come to here. Otherwise, if we want the foreign suppliers to come from other countries, then the custom duty of benefit of 1% is not available to them. So first 160 tons has to be exhausted from the UAE at a 1% duty differential. Then only foreign suppliers from other countries will come into India. So that thing also IIBX should keep in mind, and I think they should give certain because other GML gold is here, gold metal loan, that in any case only banks are supplying, no trader is supplying. So for that, in any case, I hope IIBX is already taking care, IFSCA is taking care for the future transactions. But what I mean to say is that holistically, the IIBX should think large, broadly, to bring up foreign suppliers from other countries also. Thank you.
Thanks. I can share with you, Prem. I mean, we as FinMet are talking to people at least in 5 different countries: Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, who want to set up operations in Dubai to provide the metal. So you're right, but people have started already looking at it now.
Very quickly, just to IIBX or to the regulator, I know it's difficult to answer immediately. We have always said that it should be mandated if everything is in place. And I like the point Harish made that, first of all, let's get the participants, let's get TRQ completely flowing, and then others will come. Because if you're having 3 settlements in a day, etc., etc. Where are we on mandating? Because as I see it, earlier, it's not like people could go and import gold. They were always importing through 18 agencies or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. All you need to check is, with those 18 agencies, are you okay with mandating? So, where are we on the mandating of all imports, which is obviously the next big step for making IIBX clean and tidy?
Yes, so because of course Mr. Som has been part of this journey, and this has never gone off our list. But what we understand through our interactions with a very positively looking policy apparatus, let me put it this way, whether it is Ministry of Commerce through DGFT and Ministry of Finance. So the way I would understand it, because it's not, of course, articulated anywhere that this is the policy stance on the proposal for mandating all imports through IIBX. I believe that it's not very difficult to, in fact, imagine oneself in putting the shoes of the regulator or all the policymakers. That gold is too sensitive a commodity or whatever you may say, and the market and the dynamics being so crucial that it won't have been easy for anyone to actually say trust a new mechanism, however robust and completely technology driven mechanism it is, to actually say that now onwards it's exclusively only through this channel. I would also be wrong if I would say that I would myself develop self doubts before actually proposing something of that proportion. In a way, it has served us well that it has been on the paper, it has never been struck off, and I believe that people are looking at IIBX delivering first on, okay, how does it work? Now, as Vasubhai told, because he's involved from day zero, so he can now talk. So we have to still see, because the silver volumes have surprised us. And in fact, we were also wondering, because, and it is giving us some trust and some more confidence that, okay, we can handle volumes. Then comes the part about, so we then nuanced our proposal that, okay, you start with mandating all SEPA gold imports through IIBX. Perhaps that is something easier for the policymakers to actually put it out also. And in any case, because as I hear from the market participants, that practically is in fact the incentive or the efficiency part is actually taken care of. In fact, there's a preferential treatment anyway because of the IGCR exemption. So we will have to see this, how it is unfolding. We will also see what are the transaction costs. We have to see the institution's own viability in terms of its own commercials. So I think we will be, if we keep on delivering it, we are able to show and demonstrate to the world, including the policymakers, that this can be handled. With the banks pitching in, I am believing that once the banks come and participate, and we see some, say, how it goes for next 6 months hence or a year hence, I think that automatically perhaps it will be, or maybe it is much, much more easier it will be then to in fact ask for it, or maybe by the time the policy apparatus would be aligned also, or better tuned to that kind of a proposal. So we believe that if we do the basic things right, if we keep doing that repeatedly without actually say getting into any mishap, so it will be better, and then gradually perhaps it will not be difficult to achieve that as well.
Thank you. I think we're run out of time. We're waiting anxiously for David to give his keynote speech. So I'll end over here. Thank you very much for your participation.